The United Retail Federation, peak national industry body representing retailers and small business for over 120 years, are talking this morning, and they're talking in particular about the ANZ Bank, the latest rate rise decision. I mean, I don't know what they're playing at the ANZ. I think that they're hoping that because they've only put their rates up by 39 percentage points, that when people hammer them, they can just point over to the CBA and say, well, they were worse. They've gone up 45 points, and it doesn't wash with Scott Driscoll, who's the president of the United Retail Federation. He's on the line right now. G'day, Scott.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
Not too bad. You know, I was actually reading a piece about the banks today which suggested that when you consider how much money they borrow to make the sort of profit that they get, that the profits that they're making are not really all that exorbitant.
Well, Mark, when you see the declaration of Westpac, for example, in excess of $6 billion, others are making akin to that. I think we've got to look at what their game is, and it's overall massive profits at the expense and outside the realm of, I think, the fairness test from the man in the street, and that's what the government needs to really start to address, in my view.
But the fascinating thing is, and I'm just trying to find where this was pointed out, when you have a look at, here we go, there was a letter to the editor in the Canberra Times this morning, and the suggestion here was these profits aren't all that exorbitant. For example, says R.S. Gilbert from Braddon, National Australia Bank's recent profit of $4.58 billion is only 1.5% of the around $300 billion that it's borrowed to make loans to its customers.
It's got an awful lot of our money to play with, though, doesn't it? I mean, if we could individually go out and do the same sort of thing and say that we only make a couple of percent, but it translates into multi-billions, I think we wouldn't be complaining, would we?
No, we wouldn't. Now, the interest rates, of course, Commonwealth moved first with that much publicised 45-point rise. The ANZ just behind them yesterday with 39 points. What's your tip as to how the other two will go?
I've got no doubt, Mark, that these the guys in the big banks are going to follow suit and play games, as you pointed out, whether it's just below or just above or equal to. But look, they're all morally bankrupt, whilst at the same time making these billions of dollars. You know, they're all on the same train, though, and they're all about the same thing. That's why there needs to be banking reform.
Well, I was talking to Ray Hadley about this last week. They really do look like a peloton in a bike race, in that it just seems to be predetermined who's going to whip around the field and lead for a while the others take some cover, and then by the time we get around to the next rate rise, it'll be someone else taking the lead.
That's right. You can nearly see the nod and the wink, can't you, as they go past each other. I mean, it's just a nonsense that we've gotten to this stage, and we've got the ACCC only just starting to talk about, well, perhaps there's collusive sort of behaviour going on here. You know, well, you know, when you get these preemptive little nods and winks, so to speak, it's just extraordinary that these guys have only just started to cotton on, isn't it?
Do you think that we can solve anything by going down the line of a national bank, you know, the sort of thing that Commonwealth was supposed to be originally?
Yes, I absolutely do. I'm a strong advocate and have been well before the federal election campaign and throughout that we need banking reform in this country that includes the institution of a government-backed small business bank, and it works extremely well in countries like Canada. It's very profitable. It's when the top 100 employers in that country. That will keep the bastards honest without a doubt.
Right. And I know some have spoken about the fact that maybe we should utilise Australia Post agencies around that. Can you see that working?
Look, I think this needs to be looked at based on the principle that there should be a government-backed bank in Australia. How it then gets implemented should be a matter for the Parliament to decide. But I think, look, we've got a unique Parliament at the moment. There's every chance that we might see, even against the will of the government, because I don't think Wayne Swan's really a true believer in banking reform. He rubbished Joe Hockey in putting forward a plan for reform, and you know, when the political heat was turned up was only when the Treasurer started to fade into the mix on this. So look, the Parliament needs to sort out the mechanism, but I think primarily we need that institution in this country to be reinstated. Maybe not forever, but certainly you know, for the foreseeable future. Maybe it could be sold off and create great profits for the people of Australia in 10 years' time as well. But right now we need it.
Scott, thanks for your time this morning.
Good on you, Mark. Thanks.
Scott Driscoll, President of the United Retailers Federation. This is Talking Canberra.